We begin tonight at 6 with an 18-year-old who is now out of jail and his charges are dismissed. All of this comes a week after police say he pulled a gun on a police officer and tried to fire it.
But the prosecutors say what officers claimed happened is not backed up by the body cam video. Ashton Hackman spoke with a witness who recorded part of that encounter herself.
And she tells me she's glad that the officer did have a body-worn camera, and had that not been the case, that the teen may very well be facing charges still. She says she thinks incidents like this can happen to anyone. That's why Michael Owens grabbed her phone and started recording. This was last Sunday at Riverside Park. This IMPD sergeant stopped this red car whose driver, she said, went around her traffic block. In her police report, the officer claimed the 18-year-old appeared to be pointing a revolver at her. In a Facebook post, IMPD said the teen made a gesture like he pulled the trigger, but the gun did not fire. Police arrested the teen and reported finding 2 guns in the car, but the prosecutor moved to dismiss the case, writing body-worn camera footage does not support the allegations.
We're supposed to trust them to protect and serve, but they're fabricating stories. They're, doing things like this. So it's like any interaction with police, in my opinion, should be recorded.
In a statement, Metro Police said charging decisions are up to the prosecutor, adding, quote, body-worn cameras, while valuable tools, only capture a portion of an officer's field of view and do not capture everything experienced by an officer.
It's one thing if it actually happened, but to make up a whole story as a sergeant and fabricate a whole story that did not take place, that's not okay. And I feel like the sergeant should be held accountable.
With this case being dismissed, the judge has moved to expunge the charges from the court record. In the meantime, Metro Police tell me they are going to continue to investigate, but would not comment on the status of that officer involved. In Indianapolis, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
13 News has submitted requests to IMPD to obtain the body-worn camera footage. Metro Police have not yet shared that footage. They're citing and the ongoing investigation.
Tonight, an Indianapolis man is facing multiple charges for his alleged role in a deadly shooting. 39-year-old Javon Cushenberry is tonight charged with murder and attempted murder in a shooting on the west side of Indianapolis. Police say he shot 33-year-old Rachel Rakes and her dad at a home near West Washington and Holt Road. Rakes died at the hospital. Court documents reveal tonight that her dad told police he heard the two arguing before trying to separate them. Cushenberry is due in court tomorrow morning. A 40-year-old man made his first court appearance this afternoon for an alleged attempted carjacking outside an Indianapolis blood donation center.
Rich Nye says the man is charged with more crimes right before and after that incident.
On April 13th, about 12:45, one woman was helping another woman with a flat tire inside the gated parking lot at the Versity Blood Center. That's when a man started shaking the gate and yelling at them.
Court records say Maximilian Coleman had a gun that night, demanded a car, and tried to squeeze between the gate. He allegedly fired shots at the women. Coleman faces 10 charges, including 9 felonies.
Pointing a firearm at and shooting at her.
When Coleman could not get in the lot, he allegedly dropped the gun and took off. Police found him a block away at 34th and Illinois. Court records say Coleman refused to stop and was tased, then tried to take the taser from one officer and grabbed for the gun of another officer before he was finally restrained and handcuffed. The gun recovered near the gate was allegedly stolen from Coleman's cousin, his roommate, just a few minutes before the attempted carjacking. In Indianapolis, Rich Nye, 13 News.
Another day in the 50s, but lots of sunshine today and not nearly as windy as it was yesterday. We've got the blue sky over Morris Reservoir at this hour. Here's how it looks from our north side camera. Temperatures right now in the 50s, close to 60 degrees. We're at 58 in Indianapolis. That's up 2 in the last hour. 61 currently in Bloomington, 54 in Kokomo and Muncie. Right now 52 in Richmond. Temperatures over the next several hours stay in the 50s. Once the sun goes down, we'll drop drop under clear skies into the 40s overnight. Not as cold, not as frosty as we had this morning. Tomorrow morning temperatures will be in the upper 30s and low 40s. So at the bus stop, not as cold with some sunshine. We'll be in the low 40s for most of us to start. We'll wrap up tomorrow with some sunshine and temperatures nearing 80 degrees. Forecasting 75 to 80. This time tomorrow, we'll be tracking another weather system headed our way. We'll talk about those rain chances in a few minutes.
At the State House, Indiana Governor Mike Braun ceremonially signed a new BMV law that includes new restrictions on non-domiciled commercial drivers, those who are foreign-born commercial drivers holding a license here in the States.
Our State House reporter Emily Longnecker joins us tonight at 6 to explain some of those changes. Emily?
Yeah, the law tightens documentation requirements, allows the state to revoke certain licenses, and creates new penalties, felony penalties for improper credentials. Supporters say it strengthens oversight and safety on Indiana's highways, but critics warn it could unfairly target legally authorized drivers. The new law tightens what documentation is required to get a non-domiciled CDL. That comes after a rule change at the federal level last fall, limiting which immigrants can get such a license. Now, only immigrants with 1 out of 3 kinds of work visas are eligible. HEA 1200 aligns Indiana law with that rule change. The new law also requires foreign-born drivers trying to get a non-domiciled CDL to take an English-only exam. The law also includes new criminal penalties with up to 2.5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine for using a fake non-CDL or falsifying documents to get one. The law also cracks down on companies that are training undocumented immigrants or drivers who don't have the proper documentation, with fines of up to $50,000.
But a lot of these that we intercept coming through our own state are issued in other states. And it's going to take their enforcement and legislatures if we're going to get this taken care of across the country.
Some critics of the new law say it could lead to profiling of CDL holders who are immigrants. And last year, the Indiana State Police partnered with the Department of Homeland Security for Operation Midway Blitz, arresting 223 undocumented immigrants on Indiana's highways. 146 of those arrests were truck drivers. At the Indiana State House, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Tonight at 6, an appeals court is now reversing the decision to block Indiana's ban on school IDs for voting. So this just comes a few weeks before the May primary. An appeals court granted an emergency motion by Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, asking the court to reverse the decision to allow college and university IDs to vote. So this means only government-issued IDs, like a driver's license, are acceptable at the polls. A lawsuit filed last May argues the law deliberately targets young voters. Well, we've got you covered when it comes to all the political headlines making news across our state. You can check out our political show. It's called Crossroads Politics. It's streaming right now over on our free streaming app, WTHR+.